Hi guys! I am sorry I'm posting this late and that I didn't get a chance to really post an instructional update on Wednesday. Things have been kind of crazy and we're learning new information as things go along. At this point in time, all of you should have received an email with instructions on what you need to do in order to finish out the course. According to the governor and the superintendent of schools, instruction will continue for the rest of the year and it will be graded. So some of you need to complete Play-Doh in order to pass. So let me back up for a second. Because of the school closure, from what I've been told, everyone will have the opportunity to recover credits and move forward to the next course. But you must do work to do that. So some of you have been assigned Play-Doh Part A, Play-Doh Part B, Play-Doh Part A and B, depending on your standing in the course. If you weren't assigned Play-Doh, all you need to do going forward is continue doing these Edmodo assignments. They will be graded, and you will receive a grade based on the work that you do. As of this time, from what I know, again, all of this is subject to change because things change hourly. For the fourth 9 weeks, you'll be given a pass-fail grade. So if you do the work, you'll pass. If you fail, if you don't do any work, then you'll fail. And if you fail the fourth 9 weeks, you don't do anything, then you'll most likely fail the course. So I don't want that to happen to you. So if you have questions on your assignments or anything, please let me know. I am considering doing a Zoom meeting on Wednesday for our courses. So if you have specific questions about the text, about your work, about your standing, we can address those together on a conference. That'll probably be on Wednesday. For spring break, we are still going to celebrate spring break. So what I'm going to do is I have extended all of the assignments, and I'm going to basically have all of the assignment requirements. As long as you submit them before spring break, I'm not going to count them late. Okay? So I'm going to say that again. I apologize, I got distracted. So, to reiterate, as long as you submit the assignments that I have put up so far before spring break, you will not be counted late. Okay? That includes the quizzes, the study guides, any additional work that's been assigned. So please be sure to check your emails and read it carefully on what you need to do. Now, for those of you who need to do Edmodo work, I'm going to go ahead and talk about Romeo and Juliet for a minute. So, you are required to read Act 5 of Romeo and Juliet. It's super short. There's only 3 acts, or 3 scenes in this act, and we're basically seeing the consequences of the wedding being moved forward. When we start Act 5, we're seeing Romeo in Mantua, and he receives news from his servant Balthazar that Juliet is dead, and he is grief-stricken. He curses the stars, and he says that he is going to defy his fate. He's not going to let the stars control him. In his desperation, he goes to an apothecary and tries to buy poison. And he succeeds because this apothecary is super broke. So he's like, hey, you didn't buy me poison. I sold you poison with this money because money is poisonous. Money kills more men than poison does. So really, I'm the one at fault here. That's the way that they kind of rationalize this to each other. Because in Mantua, selling poison is punishable by death. So Romeo, he decides that he's going to go to Juliet's tomb and consume this poison so that he can be together with her in death. In the next scene, in scene 2, we see Friar John come into Friar Lawrence's enclave place, and Friar John tells him, dude, I couldn't deliver your letter, man. There was a plague, and I got shut in my house, and we couldn't move forward. So, fun fact, whenever there was a plague running amok, kind of like now, kind of like COVID-19, the policemen would actually bar the doors and windows of a house so that the people inside could not go outside. They would literally put like wood on the doors and nail them inside, put chains on the locks, and make it so that the people were physically incapable of leaving the house. This is what has happened in Friar John's case. These people were so scared of this plague spreading that they locked Friar John in this house until they knew that he wasn't at risk of spreading the disease. So pretty cool, but not cool in the instance of Romeo and Juliet. But because of this, he could not deliver the letter to Romeo containing Friar Lawrence's plan. So Friar Lawrence freaks out, and he's like, dude, this wasn't just a hey, how are you letter. This contains some important information. And Friar Lawrence realizes that that Juliet is going to wake up in 3 hours. So now he's got to rescue her himself. And his plan is, okay, well, this will still be all right. I can deliver the letter to Romeo. He doesn't know anything about this yet. I'll just deliver the letter myself. Juliet can hide in my house until Romeo comes and gets her. So that's his new plan. So he goes to the graveyard, and he's got a pickaxe and a shovel, and he's going to break Juliet out of her family tomb. On his way there, we transition to scene 3. And in scene 3, Paris is at the tomb, and this is nighttime, and he is grief-stricken. He is upset. So he decides to honor his dead betrothed beloved. He is going to spread flowers at the foot of her grave every day. So he tells his page, which is kind of like a serving man, his plan, and tells him to stay back and alert him if anybody's coming. He wants to do his mourning alone. And he promises Juliet, her soul, that he is going to keep these flowers fresh, either through water or through the water of his own tears. That is how sad he is about her death. So he starts spreading around these flowers, and then Romeo comes up out the blue. And he's like, who's this dude? And why is he at my beloved's tomb? Because he's so grief-stricken, and so out of his mind that, he's completely forgotten that Juliet was supposed to be engaged to Paris. In his mind, that's his wife. You better not mess with her. So he confronts Paris, and he doesn't know that it's Paris. It's dark. They don't have any lanterns because they both put out their torches. He confronts Paris and says, what are you doing here? And Paris recognizes Romeo as the person that killed Tybalt. So Paris thinks Romeo's there to defile Tybalt's grave and further fuel this fight between the Capulets and Montagues. So Paris is trying to defend Juliet's honor. Romeo is too, but they don't know that. So this miscommunication between the two leads to them fighting. So they start fighting, and Romeo kills yet another person. He kills Paris, and Paris's last wish, his dying wish, is to lay beside Juliet. Romeo grabs his torch and puts it up to Paris's face, and he's like, who is this guy? Who did I kill? And then he realizes, oh my gosh, it's Mercutio's relative. It's Mercutio's cousin. He's related to the prince. What have I done? So he's further kind of besmirched his honor by killing his best friend's relative. It's pretty messed up. So he honors Paris's wish to lay beside Juliet, he drags Paris into the tomb, lays her beside Juliet, and then he's so grief-stricken over Juliet that he doesn't notice any details that Juliet is, hey, she's really alive. He does say that death hasn't taken her totally yet because she still has rosy cheeks and rosy lips. If he had just waited a few minutes longer, she would have woken up. But he is so determined to kill himself, to be with Juliet, that he immediately takes the poison and dies. This poison is fast acting. A few minutes later, Juliet wakes up and she's like, hey, where's Romeo? Where's Romeo? Friar Lawrence has made it to the tomb at this time. He sees blood at the door. He sees Juliet waking up and he's like, hey, don't look over there. Don't look over there. Juliet sees Romeo dead and she's like, oh my gosh, what has happened? She grabs the cup from his hand and she says, how dare you? You didn't leave me anything to drink. So she kisses him to try and get the poison off of his lips, but there's not enough there to kill her. So instead she grabs his dagger and stabs herself in the breast and kills herself rather than keep living. You know, so from Friar Lawrence's perspective, he comes upon this scene and his intent is to break Juliet out and keep her safe until Romeo can come get her. He sees the tomb is open. He's like, oh crap, what has happened? He goes to investigate. He sees blood at the door. Oh no, something really, really wrong has happened. What ill fate, what terrible thing has happened? He goes in, he sees Paris's body first, and he's like, oh no. Oh no, oh no, oh no. And he met Balthazar outside, and Balthazar told him, hey, Romeo went up in there. I don't know what his intent was, but I don't think it's what he told me. He sees Romeo dead. Juliet comes back to life. And Friar Lawrence's plan was to put Juliet in a nunnery, make her a nun, to just kind of whisk her away from all of this madness, to save her parents' grief, and to ensure that Juliet kept living an honorable life. But Juliet's like, I ain't doing that. I'm dying. I'm being with my love. So instead of staying with Juliet and trying to persuade her to keep living, he hears the Night's Watch outside and he runs away. He hears the Night's Watch. He runs away to try and get help, and the Night's Watch captures him, and they get the prince. They wake the prince up, and the prince is like, what is this? Why are you waking me up at such an early hour? And so the prince realizes what has happened. He asks Friar Lawrence what happened. Friar Lawrence tells him the whole story. At this point, Lord Capulet, Lady Capulet, and Lord Montague are there. And when Lord Montague shows up, Lord Montague tells them, hey, my wife died earlier tonight of grief over Romeo being sent away to Mantua. So Friar Lawrence tells the story. He's the only one there that really knows what the heck happened. And Balthazar produces a letter from Romeo, and that corroborates Friar Lawrence's story. It backs him up. And it also tells how Romeo got the poison and what all happened. So Lord Capulet and Lord Montague, they're so upset over their kids dying that they decide that Juliet's dowry, which remember could have been money, is that they will stop fighting. And then Lord Montague decides he's going to one-up this, that not only does he agree to stop fighting Lord Capulet, he's going to erect a statue of Juliet in gold so that she'll always be remembered. And Lord Capulet agrees and says that he's going to erect a statue of Romeo as well. And the prince declares that everyone has lost family members because of this feud. And, you know, that some people will be punished, some people will be put to death, some people will be pardoned. But regardless of what happens, this is the saddest story ever told, the story of Romeo and Juliet. And the whole thing comes to a close. So now we know how this family stopped feuding, and it's through these two tragic lovers. So that's kind of the summary. Again, just like last week, on Monday I'll post the answers to our study questions. I want to clarify some things about our packet. So originally I told you that the study questions, I wanted you to try and be done by Wednesday. Because of all the changes and stuff going on, just continue that through Sunday, and we will work on the theme stuff next week, the theme and the eulogy project. I do want us to do the eulogy project. That will be kind of our like capstone final project for this unit, and that'll be the last thing that'll be due before spring break. So to show you guys what I mean, I want you to start where it says Romeo and Juliet Act 5 Reading Guide. Okay? And I want you to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 4 pages total that you need to complete. So you need to complete all the questions, the paraphrasing, the character quotes, the timeline, just like last week. I want you to stop at the analyzing theme activity. I want us to do this next week before we do the eulogy project, and the eulogy project will be like your final project grade for this unit. If you have any questions, again, message me on here, send me an email. I am making calls to parents, so if you need a phone call, let me know. I'm happy to talk to you one-on-one so that we can, get on the same page, because I want to make sure that you are able to do this work in order to pass the class. Thank you to those who are continuing to turn in work and who have stayed in contact, and I hope that you all are staying safe. I miss you guys a whole bunch. Hopefully I will talk to you soon. Bye.